Okay, so we're on to day number 15 and we've got some stockings by the fireplace, hanging by the fireplace. I will pop the drawing. It is quite simple. You've got a rectangle here, two straight lines, a little bit of perspective in the back of the fireplace coming in here, a few sticks with some flames and 3 sock shapes. So I'll pop the photo up bigger so you can see that. I'm starting with my round number 6. I'm going to come on and start with the lightest area first, which is going to be the flame. Dipping into the paints that I've been using all the way along. So this is cadmium yellow. I'm just going to drop it into the tops of the flame and let it run, and I'm going to drop it into the bottom of the flame and let it run. I've got a little bit of cadmium orange on here from when we did the snowman, so I'm just dropping a little bit of that in as well. That started that one off. Okay, I've got a bit of burnt sienna, so I've loaded my brush up with water and come into that, and we're just going to start to do a little bit of the detail. So this is on to dry. It's quite small, so you can get away with doing this without wetting it first. So I'm going to come along and do the wood plinth of the fireplace, a little bit of the burnt sienna. I'm going to use a little bit of Payne's Grey to start to come in and do the bottom slate of the fireplace. Or the hearth of the fireplace. Leave a few little bits of dry for light. I'm going to come into the Payne's Grey, and just whilst it's still damp, just add a bit of variation into the wood. So I'm just going to sweep through that with a horizontal stroke and a damp brush. I'm going to leave a tiny bit of a dry line in between and just take a bit of Payne's Grey in there. So this is a little bit of the cadmium yellow. I'm just going to come on to the edges. So I want this to just finish and be quite small in here. So I'm sort of making bits of brickwork pattern. But random brickwork. I'm going to dab little bits. This is all still wet, so I'm moving quite quickly. Of the burnt sienna in as well. So it's just a slightly different colour. And then with a damp brush or wet brush, I'm just going to touch in places. So that it's not all one tone. You can see here it's spreading. It's just nice and loose. I don't particularly want that bit there, so I'm just going to dab that off with a wet brush. I'm going to do something just similar up here, just to finish off this edge. But I'm going to go upwards. And I'm going to keep that one lighter, so I'm just going to use the cadmium yellow and a little bit of water. Okay, I'm going to dry that off. That's nicely dry now. So I'm going to come into each of the stockings and just use a different colour. So I've got some rose here. So I'm going to do the first one with rose. The second one with purple. And the third one with blue. Choose whichever colours you want. They're gradually getting bigger. I need something for shadow. I think I'm going to use a little bit of watery Payne's grey. I'm just going to run that just down one side. Okay, so I'm going to come into some burnt sienna. It's nice and thick. I'm going to start to do these logs. Leave some gaps in between. I'm going to dip into some Payne's grey whilst the burnt sienna's on and just make this darker. You can have an odd little bit of light still showing through. That works really nicely. Just got a mound of logs there. I'm going to wet into the background. Just a little bit. So I'm using my number 6. I need it to move a bit. And I'm starting this side because I think the stockings are still a little bit wet. But I want this now to be nice and dark in here. This is going to set everything forward. So you've got that nice dark edge will bring the light of the wall out. I'm just working my way across. It needs to be a little bit wet, otherwise you'll find you'll get watermarks because it will dry too quickly. Coming in between the flames. You'll notice that I didn't outline everything in one go, that I'm working from left to right. If you're left-handed, you'll want to work from right to left so that you don't leave edges to dry, because you will then end up seeing them. So you've got to work from one side and work to the other side, filling in the areas as you go. So that's looking really effective. Just that little bit of dark. So I need to start to create some shadow. So I would have a bit of shadow here from the wood. I'd also have a darker shadow in those corners So I'm just going to take that in darker there, and you can go darker towards the top as well. Just that extra little bit just gives it that dimension that's needed. Okay, I'll dry that one off. Okay, so I'm dipping into the cadmium orange. That's nicely dry now, and I'm just going to bring a little bit of extra detail into the flames. Not too much, I want to keep the light. Then I'm going to bring that so we've got a glow on the back of the fireplace where the flames are. So this is the cadmium orange, I'm painting it on, and it's going to give a bit of a glow all the way around. I'm then going to take in another layer of the Payne's grey just at the back, but I'm not going to go over the cadmium orange. So this is giving that depth to the back wall, but it's also giving the glow around the fire. So you can see that it's starting to get that lighter glow on the back of the wall. Just by adding another layer. And then I'm going to take some burnt sienna and a touch of Payne's grey into that, and I'm making a mucky looking brown. Just taking a bit more in. Then I'm going to take a big lot of water into it, and this I'm then going to glaze the sides with. So this is going to make this look darker, which is then going to make the fire look lighter. So this is called a glaze. It's watery paint. I'm going to bring it over the wooden fireplace as well, and then over that area at the back. The colours, because it's transparent, the colours will show through, so as it dries you will see the other colours shining through. It's like a mucky coffee colour. I'm not touching the stockings, I'm touching everything around, and I'm going to bring it onto the front of the fireplace as well. This is all to create a nice glow from the fire. Okay, I'm going to dry that off. Okay, so that's pretty much finished. I think you can see that it creates a really nice light glow, and you can still see the layers underneath, so it's a really interesting effect. Just to finish it off, because I'm not keen on how that has bordered, I'm going to use a little bit of the gold powder. So I'll pop a link in for this, but you could use anything. You could use anything to do a border. So I've wet the brush and I've gone in to the bronzing powder. This is rich gold, and I'm just painting a border on. I think it'll make it look more Christmassy as a scene, and it'll look more finished. But you could use a little bit of red as a border, you could use a little bit of blue as a border. So I'm just re-dipping in. I don't want you to feel that you have to buy the things that I suggest. It's just a suggestion. Use what you have. And there we go. I'll see you tomorrow.